are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. It's been a while since I've said that. I'm your host, David Camion. I was joined by Cosmon09, Rachel Burt.
Yup.
Yup.
Sharon Day, Kate Blazy Gardner.
Yup.
And Bridget. ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. I've got the hang of this.
Nope.
It's gotta be fucking different.
You know,
Get dinged.
I wonder if that would have made that entire scene different if it had been nope instead of yup.
No, like just right at the end, Kim says nope. By the way, we're talking about Better Call Saul's finale. Yep.
Yup.
Yep. Nope.
Nope.
Wrong hole. Finally, Kim speaks up for herself.
I don't know. Maybe it is the right hole.
Anyway, I think I'll leave this in. Sure, why not? And again, we're talking about
she
Better
said.
Call Saul's
That's what
final
she said.
episode. I think I'll leave this in. Gotcha. All right, good. Ooh. Anyway, we're here to talk about Tales of the Walking Dead, the pilot episode titled Evie and Joe. Evie/Joe, if you want to be an anal son of a bitch. Yup.
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 The inaugural discussion of Tales of the Walking Dead. Let's start with first impressions on this anthology series, just from a broad 50,000 foot view. Bridget, what did you think about this introduction to this series?
I loved it. I'm continuing to love it. And we're not talking about that yet, but I have watched the second episode already, and I do also love that. I've really enjoyed that they've clearly spent a lot of time writing these scripts. They were very well written. The story feels neat and complete, and it does leave like, well, it could go somewhere else, but I don't have to have that. Like, I'm happy now with what I have. Glad they're doing something different. It's exciting.
So far, I have liked both episodes. One a little more than the other. I like the idea of where they're going, and I hope that they have like a common thread or something that ties them all together in the end. Okay, so it's like we're seeing the stories of the side characters on The Walking Dead. Before so-and-so hooked up, they ran into these people. You know, I mean, I just feel like we're kind of getting these little side character stories, and I enjoy that.
Well, I'm not a big fan of the anthology style episodes in general. I'm just not. So I'm with Charity. I do hope there is some sort of common thread that ties everything, all these characters together at some point. I'm not holding my breath for that, but I do hope we get to see it. Having said that, I loved this episode, but I am a little bummed thinking that we're not ever going to see these characters again.
That has been a common comment to this, well, at least to this episode, because let's just say it already. Like, I think people really like Terry Crews as Joe. And, you know, obviously, I don't know about mixed feelings about Olivia Munn as Evie, but I mean, more like, okay, let's just be honest. Terry Crews does chew up the screen. He is enthusiastic.
Oh, yeah.
His style of acting is exuberant. He's very physical with his acting. So it's hard to like not just be like, oh, let's just pay attention to this. Well,
this is still Terry Crews at like 60% though. Like, this isn't even full turned up Terry Crews.
Yeah, this is like Terry Crews in the Walking Dead universe. Like, okay, I have to play somebody who has, you know, some issues to resolve. So I'm not going to throw my hands up in the air, start dancing like Carlton, you know, like, so.
Flex out of the duct tape.
So, yeah, that's kind of like what I was thinking, right? No, for my part, this is like something I've been waiting for a very long time. Look, I like the Twilight Zone, and I was hoping it would be like that, and so far it is. Without going into the second episode too much, I feel like the first episode was an interesting intro into what this series could be, and the second episode kind of just, well, gives you a nice segue or like a nice ramp up to what they're planning in store for the kind of show they're going to give you. Because it sounds like the rest of the episodes are somewhat the same. Well, some of the rest of the episodes are somewhat the same in terms of playing with physics, let's say, or introducing mechanics to these shows that has yet been introduced to like suspend
You
your
could
disbelief.
say episode 2
No, but there's
blew up the standard formula.
but it's more than just episode 2. If you watch the Walking Dead Universe special, they showed us some of the clips from other episodes, and there's hallucinations and just a whole, like, they're leaning into the suspension of disbelief in these anthologies, because I think they have to kind of do that to kind of give you a little bit more, because it's an anthology style series. Not style, it's an anthology series. Period.
I'll be honest, I didn't like the first episode as much as I liked the second, because I felt like the first
what?
didn't really offer us. I did not like the first episode as much as I liked the second episode.
No, I heard you the
And
second
I feel
time. I was like, I didn't expect that.
I feel like the first one didn't really give us anything new. It was two people that meet, and you know, I don't feel like there was anything new to show us. We didn't learn any new lesson. It was just one of the same old stories that we've already seen, just new characters. Whereas the second episode had a lot more to it, which the first one was good, but I just feel like it just wasn't a lot there.
Just to give everybody a little bit of context, Sharon did not like the second episode in the first watch, right? And that's the thing. Like, when we were talking about it behind the scenes, you liked it, but it wasn't like, you know.
I liked it. The biggest problem I had the first watch was I was watching it with Bridget and Rachel, and my screen was really choppy, so I missed a lot of what was going on. But listening to it, I was really enjoying it. So when I went back and watched it again the second time, I really, really loved it. But I liked it better than the first one, even the first watch. I just liked that they did. I love Groundhog Day. That's one of my favorite movies. This one was good. It was good. I liked Terry Crews and I liked Olivia Munn. It was funny.
Told a story.
It just felt like there just wasn't a lot of substance to it.
They didn't give you that extra like the second episode did. That suspension of disbelief that you kind of need for like a one-off.
I think it was a nice little introduction into the tales, because it wasn't too far from the original show that we know. So they're like, here's a little taste. And then in the second episode, we're going to blow your freaking minds. But we're going to ease you into it first. So
We're gonna go on the wrong hole.
we're going to go in the wrong hole.
So can you imagine? Can you imagine if they actually aired the second one first? That people would have.
Yeah,
not
people would have
liked
lost
that.
their shit.
Even people that
honestly,
liked it would have been like, I don't like it. But yeah, so they did it in the right order. And Terry Crews and Olivia Munn. I like Olivia
Munn.
I think she's gotten. I'm not saying she's a bad actor. I'm saying that, like, it's nice. It's nice to see her grow as an actor over time, and watching her in this episode was really, really cool to see. And I haven't seen her in anything in a very long time too. So, like, from the last thing I've seen,
this was a really great performance out of her. It seemed very, very real. It was very believable. Can you believe that she came back from giving birth and this is what she did?
Oh my god, I did not know that.
No, I love her even more. Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, that explains her Instagram a lot, I think. She had probably just given birth because the pictures of her child.
It was fairly recent.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fairly recent. So this was like the first thing that she did coming back from that. And so I think that's really cool that she was so willing to do something so physical. I think she's come out and kind of said like that it was really hard on her. But it was really cool nonetheless.
Kind of like Alana Masterson when she talks about being on The Walking Dead and having being pregnant on the show and having just given birth during the show's filming. Yeah, she talked a lot about that. You know, being a guy gave me a little window into what that might be like. So yeah, I get it. What I want to actually talk about next actually is something that I had heard about the character of Joe that I don't know was actually explicitly shown or mentioned or talked about during my watch. And maybe this is something we can all hive mind on. And that was the connection to Sasha and Tyrese. I mean, the only thing I could think of is the Ohio connection. The fact that they were in Ohio, possibly. And I don't even know if that's true. But what do you guys think? Because I know that was spoken about by Terry Crews.
I didn't hear anything about that.
It was spoken about before the episode. It was before the episode aired.
Right.
And actually, I read a lot of articles and I haven't seen it mentioned since then.
Right. It was spoken about specifically during...
I don't know where that came from. I don't know if that was like a maybe... You know, maybe, and then it wasn't at all the case.
I think it was said at San Diego Comic-Con. Like we'd have to watch the coverage again to find out. I don't know if it was in reverence of Sasha and Tyrese Williams, and it could just be that, but I feel like it was mentioned at some point. So I guess none of us really saw that. And it doesn't mar anything for me, but it made it so that like I was super eagle-eyed and I literally wrote almost everything down to see if I could figure it out.
It was just an idea that they had thrown out before the episode aired. It was kind of one of those things that was mentioned, like this kind of teases that maybe this could be us seeing Tyrese and Sasha again, and then that obviously wasn't what happened. So
you know what though, he does mention that he does have a sister, and so I was thinking maybe that could have been. I mean, but then Tyrese would have to be his brother too. So it's like
exactly, why mention a sister and not your brother?
Exactly, unless they like really hate each other. But no.
Yeah,
so,
but Tyrese and Sasha were so close. That would be weird. So, I don't know.
I feel like the third brother, like the third sibling that they kind of like, oh, he's kind of like a prepper. We don't talk about him.
He's
crazy prepper brother.
Hides away from everybody.
And his estranged brother Tyrese, who may have been on the Buckeyes. I don't. Or maybe they were super close and like still. Anyway, so I'm glad to know that like I'm not crazy and not, or like not lazy and not being able to find anything. Okay, that's fine, because it was mentioned. There's another thing I kind of want to just bring up briefly, because as we were coming on to talk about this episode, I was thinking to myself, the danger in some of these episodes, other than some of the connections we can make to the greater universe, is that there may be things that we don't talk about. Second episode, there might be a lot to talk about, a little bit more to talk about. But this episode was kind of like hey, it was a story, things happened, and that's it. A lot of the times with the Walking Dead universe, the reason why we have so much to talk about is because we kind of dig into prior episodes. We kind of create this map in our minds, or speaking it out on these podcasts about where everybody is, what's everybody doing, why they do what they do based on things that they've done in the past, or linking it to actions of other people on the show. But since these are one-offs, which is probably like why we all want some sort of thread that connects these one-offs to one another. Because I was thinking as I was watching the second episode, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool like if there was a thread, maybe even, it doesn't have to be in all the episodes, but like maybe like in the third or fourth or fifth episode, or maybe even sixth, that kind of like, oh, there's Joe's bike in this episode. Like, do you know what I mean? Like something even as simple as that. Joe's bike is in a scene somewhere, or the helmet, or
like we see the dude who steals Joe's bike.
Yeah, or even like a scene. Yeah, like we could even see like a scene that we saw in one episode from the point of view of other characters in another episode, or something like that. Like
that'd be cool.
This is my brain as I'm watching.
I know the connection. Skipper is related to Tabitha.
Yes.
Tabitha was a goat, and Skipper was a
Skipper's
lamb.
a sheep.
Here I bring you a lamb amongst the wolves.
They were raised on the same farm together.
That did not look like Eastman.
Came from the same place.
Just to be clear. just putting it out there. There's that guy who's like wiry, and there's Eastman who is not.
Hey, man,
this was
judge
Eastman before,
in the beginning.
Yeah,
right,
like a year into it. Yeah,
the apocalypse takes it out of you. He had nothing to do but sit around and eat cheese.
That's right.
It's all that test batches of cheese really got to him.
Oh God, wrong hole.
So I do have a theory on something that connects all of them, and actually, there's two sides. I don't want to get too heavy into it because I don't want to ruin anything for episode 2, but one, and you can guess this based off the clip. One of the clips that we were shown on the Talking Dead special for this, in preparation for this, one of the clips was, I cannot remember the character's name, but it's the hallucination one.
Right.
And I thought
Jesse T. Usher character. Yes.
I thought, man, that's really interesting, and that's really unusual for this. I mean, it's not, because we've seen hallucinations before, but that to me signified, obviously there's some sort of mental illness concept there, and we're seeing that in these other episodes. And so that to me is one theme that's tying through. And then another thing is unlikely duos that are forced to connect. And so far,
that's good.
So far it's on point, but we'll just have to wait and see.
But I think that, by the way, that Jesse T. Usher episode might not be the case, even though it does kind of, the hallucination does kind of follow the theme, but kind of does. But I like the mental illness thing. I was also thinking like part of it is, so far from what I could gather, that thread also might be regret too, like things people regret. And so far I'm seeing that in the first 2 episodes. The Jesse T. Usher one seems to be that, and perhaps even the Alpha episode might even be that, some semblance of regret. So let's keep our eye on this thread. Here we go. We've got some threads, and maybe it's not a matter of what we see in the universe, but what we feel.
Can we talk about the title card? So there's 6 pictures, and obviously we know from watching the first 2 episodes that each of those coincides with an episode. And it looks like, from left to right, fire or an explosion. The second one, I had a really hard time telling what it was. It kind of looked like almost like headstones, but there was like a piece in the middle that I couldn't tell what that was.
I just did the graphic prior to creating the studio ahead of time, but it is a graveyard. Yeah, it is a graveyard. Okay. Yeah.
So there's a graveyard. The third one is a skull.
And some wooden planks.
Okay.
Is a floor.
Fourth is a house with the silhouette of a person in the window. The fifth is the motorcycle, which was Evie and Joe.
Right.
And then sixth is, it almost looks like a pier or a factory of some kind.
It's a riverboat. So
that is
the Alpha episode.
That's episode 3. Okay.
So interesting, the order that they actually put this in. So also the first one, the fire, has a telephone kind of. It's a handset. It's the handset and also the top of a telephone. So that's the second episode actually. So if I have to guess, the Jesse T. Usher one might be the one with the skull, because it does discuss murder. I think that leaves only the Jesse Ramirez and Daniela Pineda episode, which talks about the Bruja, and that silhouette might be the Bruja, and not to be confused with.
Do you mean like a witch?
Bridget Cali-Canales?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bridget Cali-Canales from
The Old Ways.
Which, by the way, you can watch not the live watch, but you can watch our interview with the director, and also a little taste of Bridget Cali-Canales, who played Rachel on Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know what the episode is, but now we can link it.
She's so cool.
So fucking cool.
Bridget is so cool.
We did do a supercut
You too, Bridget, but Bridget Canales is so cool.
This is always confusing for me when we start talking about Bridget. I like her. She's so nice, but it's always so confusing.
Not you, Bridget. The other Bridget.
Not this one. Not regular Bridget.
Right. Not ginger Bridget. Punky Bridget.
Punky Bridget.
So, okay, let's keep talking about the title card, because what do you think of it? Because there is an obvious kind of like, I want to say homage to Fear the Walking Dead in a sense, but instead of focusing on people, silhouettes of people necessarily, we're focusing on the silhouette of an object relating to the episode. So namely, once it goes through those 6 panels, it focuses on the bike itself, and that represents this episode.
It was kind of clean looking. I don't know how else to describe it, but I like the colors, and it was not inviting. It was intriguing. If you didn't know anything about the show, and you saw that, it's very intriguing. It gets your mind wondering.
Looks like paper too, right? Like some of the panels.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool how it did remind me of Fear the Walking Dead, but also Walking Dead in the new intro, like the moving pieces of everything. Like it was like a beautiful tie-in of both titles for both shows, and they're like, here, yeah. I thought it was brilliant. I thought they did a fantastic job.
Speaking of which, okay, sometimes we retread ground for new people, like new host Bridget, and we can go through everybody's opinions again just to kind of refresh everybody's memory. But when they dropped the normal intro for the past 8 seasons for The Walking Dead, and they switched to the new one in season 9, what did you think of that change, Bridget?
It doesn't bother me. Like, I think it's cool when they do that change, because like you're watching the same thing for how long? So like any little change is like, oh, cool, they changed it a little. Or, oh, sad, that person's name is gone because they're gone now. But
what was his name? Michael Mando? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Michael Mando.
Or Stephen Young.
Stephen Young.
But you have a type, I think.
Dead.
Dead. My type is dead.
Yeah,
I like him dead.
Unavailable anyway. The unavailable type.
Oh my gosh.
I can love them more once they're gone. Anyway. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
right. So when, well, just to kind of recap though, because The Walking Dead did kind of update its intros, its title sequence over the years, like other photos, other scenes, to kind of sort of match the season necessarily. But then when season 9 came around, it was like, whoa, let's just throw all that shit away and use this kind of illustrative type, papery, silhouette-y kind of.
I thought it was cool because it gives little nods to the show in different ways, and I liked that it changed. And we saw in this last season like the smoking of that the windmill's on fire, and then it's smoking because the fire's out. And I think those are all really nice touches. That's that's just great graphic design.
And it makes an Easter egg hunt too every now and again.
Yeah, and it makes it kind of fun. Something that's normally not interactive and is just meant to it's there because that's the legality of it, right? Like they need to have their names in there, and so it's this way to focus on that. So it's not meant to really be like super paid attention to. Normally it's meant to be fast and have kind of a catchy song so that when you hear the song, you think of it. So it's nice to have little things to look for.
Yeah.
It's more engaging then.
Yeah. And more graphical and less actual. Like that's it's kind of like what I think Sharon was saying is like, it's inviting. It engages you. Right. Exactly. More than what a person's face would, or a photo.
That was what they did with Game of Thrones with the title sequence. Every episode they would change it up and show you where you were going to be in that episode. If you were going to be in Winterfell and King's Landing, then that was what you would see on the screen. They changed it up all the time.
This football team from Iowa? Anyway.
Oh my, that was hilarious.
That was so great.
He was like, huh? Nothing else got his attention, huh?
Nice segue.
Yeah.
She also said he really likes the football. Like it wasn't football. It was
Are you okay, Rich?
Really got me.
Someone's windows are getting washed.
Oh my goodness. The football.
Yeah. It's like the Facebook or like the Instagram. It's
the
really
Google.
It's the craziest is like how I can catch myself doing that. I was like, oh, we're doing great on the TikTok.
Bam! Suddenly you're old.
The TikTok.
I'm just going to lean in.
As soon as you start using articles where they're unnecessary, you're old.
Or like, when you're really old, when you start
I found
pluralizing
out about
things.
it on the Ask Jeeves.
Thanks, Mary Yun. Another Better Call Saul reference for you fuckers who haven't watched the show. Anyway.
And if you
How have you not watched Better Call Saul?
What are you doing?
I can tell you, this is a good thing to talk about. Like the common refrain. I haven't watched that show because I'm waiting till it ends so I could binge it all.
I say that a lot.
The Walking Dead,
to be
more
honest.
than any other show, by the way. And people who love The Walking Dead, who are waiting to binge Fear the Walking Dead, which is...
Binging The Walking Dead is a fucking task because I binged 9.5 seasons in 2 weeks.
It's trauma. It's trauma.
Yeah, we do that every now and
It's
then.
rough. But I have to say, like, there's something about watching it week to week that just gives you that experience that you don't get otherwise. And maybe I'm old school and because I think delayed gratification is a good thing and people should experience it. There's something about that experience of waiting.
It hits different, though, because...
I don't know. It's
to
just
dovetail
different.
off of the way we watched the last 2 episodes of Better Call Saul. You guys watched it week to week, and I watched them back to back. And honestly, the way you guys reacted to these episodes, like, oh, my heart hurts. I didn't have that because I watched the 2 episodes back to back, and so there was it was like seamless. It continued where it left off, more or less.
You didn't suffer with dead inside Kim for an entire week.
Exactly.
I hated it. I was so upset over Kim for a week that I just couldn't. Yup.
Yeah.
It was.
There we go.
It was horrible. It was really hard. But just think of how deeply that made you enjoy the final episode. Then.
Absolutely. I didn't have that.
Right? It just I don't know. It just gives you an experience that you're not going to get otherwise.
It's like waiting for the punchline. That line you straddle from setup to punchline. Like if you can extend it as long as possible, so when it finally gets to that part, it hits hard. Yeah, you feel it that much Rachel cries, everybody cries. I mean, I cried a little bit, but not as much as I probably would have had I watched week to week. But
Rachel doesn't cry. She's dead inside.
Dave is looking at Rachel.
She says, crying.
Ponderously. Really? We're going there?
I can't even say that.
Rachel.
Everyone has seen me cry. Everyone has seen me cry.
Anyways, so, but kind of going back, well, I mean, to sort of segue into Tales of the Walking Dead, you don't have that here. And I think Tales almost becomes a solution to that problem in a sense where it's okay if you binge this series. There's not going to be as much of a through line, if any at all. We don't know yet so far, even though we've watched the first 2 episodes, not really much of one, if any at all. So it just seems to be where TV seems to be going.
Way to bring this full circle, Dave, because it's just like the shows on Idiocracy. Is that what we're going to get to eventually? Is the nut cracking show?
President Camacho?
On Idiocracy? Where you just remember it's just people getting kicked in the nuts over and over again.
Out my balls.
Out my nuts.
But isn't that a concern though? Going back to the way people are wanting to watch The Walking Dead. Right. Like when people say that, oh, I'm waiting for the show to finish to watch the whole thing, that's a cultural thing. I'm not going to be the person like the old man on the chair that says, it's ruining the way we watch television.
I'll say it.
But at the same time, it's kind of like movie theaters, isn't it? Like, right? People don't go to movie theaters, and the pandemic only made that way worse.
And isn't that sad? Dave, don't you have fond memories of going in and being dark and then walking out and being hot and like sunny out? That's like such a specific feeling that you can't describe it unless you've experienced it. I'm old and I'm mad at the world.
Let me counterpoint on the binging, though. I tried to watch Better Call Saul week to week when it first started. And I made it through the first season and a half, and I just lost interest in it week to week. But when it came out on Netflix a couple of years later, I binged the first 3 seasons, and I was hooked. So in some cases, maybe not binging the whole series, but at least binging to get started and get you hooked on it is not necessarily a bad thing.
That's exactly how I got hooked on VCS.
And that's kind of why I'm not going to be that person on the chair, because I think we've all watched Netflix series, original series, etc. They're designed so that you binge them. They are serial.
Yeah, I've binged a lot of shows. I'm just grumpy
just
and
large
old,
arc.
and I want people to be like I am.
No,
that's not
Bridget,
how this world works.
Bridget, I totally agree with you though. There are some movies, especially movies, that you have to watch on the big screen. It's a completely different experience. Like you said, like you go into a theater and it's all dark and the screen just takes over the whole room and you can really immerse yourself in this story that you're watching. So yeah, like I do really miss movies. I miss going to the movie theater.
Well, and it was a shared experience. Even though you didn't know all the people in the theater with you, you were still sharing that particular experience.
Like a comedy show.
Reacting to
How many
things
times
together.
have you walked out? How many times have you walked out talking to strangers about the movie that you just watched, all of you together? And you would,
Yes.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Agreed.
Of course, we do that now. We just do it online instead of doing it in the actual theater.
It's true. It's
We
true.
just go on Twitter and tell everybody about it.
And not to side tangent even more, but like I even noticed that, look, it's the reason why Joe was able to survive as long as he did. Like, it's one thing if you watch a game over and over again, but like when you have your dog with you, I mean, it becomes bearable. Even watching Sprung by myself didn't feel like, okay, I just know that if Evelyn was right next to me, we'd be dying with laughter. But like by yourself, you sound crazy laughing out loud. And you know it. You're laughing in your head mostly, except for maybe one or two times. Like where like, there's no
I
point.
guess I'm that crazy person that laughs out loud by myself.
Yeah, I laugh super out loud by
too.
myself.
But I just know
I
I'd
mean,
be
now
laughing.
I'm going to be super aware of how crazy I look, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like watching it the first
But
time.
I do it.
I like
That's why we
watching. I
love
can
you.
watch something the first time with somebody and enjoy it a lot more. But then I can watch it by myself the second time and not feel the same way.
I'll even talk out loud. by myself. Like if they're doing something stupid, I will say, "What are you doing? That is stupid." Like, and there's no one there. I'm talking to no one. I'm just talking to the air around me.
We need to do more Ray reacts, like just because, like, I want to know what this is like being with crazy.
I can tell you because
No,
we
I'm-
watch stuff together all the time. I can tell you.
What's wrong?
No.
Yes.
Alone. Because I kind of want to I want to get that like voyeuristic kind of like, what is she like when she's watching shit by herself now? Anyway, but to
David.
dovetail back to, so what? Just stop thinking that way. But going back to Joe, it is the reason why he was able to survive so long, because we are social animals, and no matter how hard Joe pushed away the world, it was bearable because Gilligan was there with him. And once he was gone, all that went out the window. But the reason why he pushes the world away is because he was paranoid about the end. Like, it wasn't for any other reason but the episode of The Shelter. So an episode that we talked about in the Twilight Zone a lot has been The Shelter. It kind of dips into the whole idea of how people act in a crisis situation or in a hysteria situation. The beginning starts out, everybody's all friends. They're celebrating a birthday party. It starts out with, for he's a jolly good fellow. And it's about the guy who has the shelter. As soon as the air raid signs hit, he goes to his shelter with his family. And then the others at the party, they're all complaining because they weren't as crazy as he was. He was the one who built the shelter. And that's the express reason why he does this. It's an express reason why he pushes away the world. Because he knows the end is coming and he needs to be prepared, and he's pushing people away so that he doesn't have to deal with that mentality, that behavior. He was prepared, so far prepared that he was preparing for that worst case scenario of the people he loves wanting to get into his shelter, which when you get to the end, you should be scared. It's the reason why she actually turns out to be super crazy, which makes me ask the question, because she was in contact with her husband, with all these other people, and I'll get to some of the bigger questions later, but like, the reason why she goes crazy is because she didn't do that. People were banging on her shelter door. She heard the screams. The music was the only thing to sort of let the screams go out, but then she admits like, oh, I still hear the screams because I'm fucking crazy. So the question I have to ask you, like, it's like this really catch-22. Like, he did all that so that he could survive, but he never really had a life because of it. So who's better off in this scenario? Sandra or Joe? I mean...
Well... One is a serial killer and the other isn't.
Well, they both survive. Survival is paramount, guys.
Also, I'm inclined to believe that Sandra was a little crazy before the world ended. Just saying.
I don't know. Just judging by the chats. And then again, that brings up another issue, right? Because we think we know somebody through the internet, podcasts notwithstanding, and meeting in person finally. But we think we know somebody, but then we finally meet them in person. And some of us do have like an online persona as opposed to when we see each other and be with each other in person. Some of us act differently than we do in person than we do online. So that could be a factor as well. Maybe she was crazy. Maybe she never had a husband.
Maybe she killed her husband.
That was the bigger question.
I was kind of thinking that. I mean, I was thinking this chick was crazy already.
Right. So did she kill her own husband? Because she says he didn't make it. Oh, no. Actually,
He passed
he passed before.
He passed.
She was luring
Yeah, he
people
passed
in
before the
before
apocalypse.
The apocalypse. Let me tell you something. That's some serious Gus Fring underground bunkerism going on down there. Like, did she have a team of Germans come and build that shit? Because that was some super engineered fucking bunkers going on.
Concrete, yeah.
So she says in the chats, her husband would be so angry with her if he knew that she got the upgraded to the platinum bunker. So she paid someone to install that. And then right after that, he passed. And so then I was like, maybe he was like, you ain't spending my money on a platinum bunker. And then she was like, I already did. And also stop, you're annoying me. Stabby, stab, stab.
Also, stabbed.
Well, it's in text format, so that's why.
Asterisk, stab.
The caption.
Asterisk. Stab my husband. Asterisk.
I love you. You should be scared.
Maybe she was dotting the I. She dotted the I all right.
It would have been really cool if she would have said instead of platinum, like the Ziegler shelter, like so, like the German engineered. They got to do more of these tie-ins, folks. Come on. I'm writing
cool.
I write this show. Why don't we keep going with this? Because what I was wondering about for like the longest time, I was like, what is dot the I? Why is his screen name dot the I?
Cross.
But I kind of want to ask you guys.
He's crossing his T's and dotting his I's.
Dot the I.
Okay, cool. I didn't think of that, to be honest with you. But then at the end of the thing, he mentions that I wanted to give you a proper Buckeye. I bet he did. But what are Buckeyes?
We're just getting some more Ohio there with Toledo and the Commonwealth and Primrose and Deanna. All roads lead to Ohio.
It is appearing that way.
I mean, in terms
/ Michigan.
In terms of connections to the greater universe, that's the big one. But is there anything in this episode that indicates anything relating to the Commonwealth? And that's the thing. Like, you were waiting for it. I mean, come on. We were all kind of waiting for it a little bit.
To be fair, at the very beginning in the bunker, you see a sign that says days since the whole world blew the game.
402.
And it was only 402 days. So we're only, I think,
a little over a year.
A year and change.
I think someone said it would have been around the time that Rick and them were at the prison.
Yeah.
Does that seem right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because say it was a month in when Lori got pregnant, so 10 months until Judith was born. So say 14 months if it's a year and a few, a little over a year, so 14 months. Judith would still be a little bitty baby. So yeah, prison right around around when they were at the prison or leaving the prison.
Wouldn't it be interesting if 402 days later, that's when Judith was born? Give Lori a couple more months, to seal the deal.
It was only 2 months until Rick came back.
Yeah,
so
about 2.
I mean,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, fucking Lori.
Hey, I know. I'm like a Lori defender.
Ugh.
You Lori
I'm
apologist.
a Lori apologist.
You are alone in that.
I'm a
friend.
Lori cuck.
You are alone in that.
He's a simp.
I'm
for
a Lori
Lori.
simp.
You.
I can easily. You know what it is? Like if people can defend Negan, even back then, it's okay to defend Lori. It's fine. It's fine.
Lori's
Or
Lori's
Shane.
the worst.
Like I know that like after so much time, people can defend Shane,
Oh, I love
only,
Shane.
but only after. But his actions and etc. After so much time, yes. After so much
did
time,
one bad
Negan,
thing.
yes. But then going back, but right out of the gate, no. And I don't know. I mean, after so much time studying these people on The Walking Dead, I get Lori. I understand why she was the way she was. It wasn't crazy to me.
I didn't think she was crazy. I just thought she was a two-faced, horrible shrew.
It's complicated.
I hate her less now than I did initially. I still don't like her.
Yeah, because we get
but
exposed to all
it's
sorts
like
of people.
I've softened to her.
Yeah. I mean, but we get exposed to all sorts of people. So like it just I'm not saying Lori is crazy. I'm like, it doesn't seem so crazy for one to be like, okay, all right. It's all right. I get it. People express, and well, it kind of goes back to Sandra too, like in a sense too, like what happened to her. Let's assume she didn't kill her own husband for getting in her face about the bunker. What happened to her with all the people screaming and begging to go back into her shelter and her having to deal with that, and then actually somebody getting in was traumatic for her, and it may have changed her, which is why I think of Joe sometimes, because of how he purposefully made it so that situation would not happen. So like I often think about like what it would have been like for Joe had he not done that. And like, would that have changed him? He could have easily been Sandra had he not traumatized himself. He is a coward, but that helped him survive. Because so one thing that I was thinking about throughout this entire watch was how different they play Joe and Evie at first. Joe was normal, but he pushed people away because he was a prepper. He was like, I'm convinced the world's going to end, and in order to prepare myself, not only do I have to build a shelter, I have to push people away so that people won't beg for the shelter when it happens. Sandra is exactly like him, and the only difference is that she didn't do it. She didn't go to those lengths that he did to push people away, to the point where, like, okay, in the beginning, he's reading the book after Gilligan because he has nobody else. And he's reading in the book, we should meet up IRL. And he's like, yeah, but to that extent, he doesn't want to get into that. So in a sense, he was her in present times. He was that much like not wanting to meet people, even people he has a connection with, to avoid that situation. And yet when he finally meets her, she is like him in the past. She's like, no, fuck you. That's my shelter. So do you get what I'm saying? There's so much like, and then you meet Evie and it's like, they couldn't be more different. But at the end of the day, they both got their start when the apocalypse happened, you know, their real start, like Daryl Dixon and like, like a lot of the people in the Walking Dead universe, like, oh, I was dysfunctional. Eugene. I mean, you know, Eugene. Took him a while. Nick Clark. Exactly. Let's talk about Gilligan for a hot second because people are going to feel differently about this than others. And I kind of want to hail back to when we saw Rufus on Fear the Walking Dead die and how affected I was by that. And I think it was because of how many times we saw him in the universe, like how many episodes he was in. So I got to be attached with him. I didn't feel the same way about Gilly so much. I felt for Joe more than anything else. But
I loved Gilly. In 3 minutes, I loved him so dearly.
I was watching with Rachel, and right at the time when Gilly got killed, Dennis started talking to me, so I was looking away. I didn't see that part, and Rachel was like, "Please don't turn around! Please don't turn around! Please don't turn around!" So I totally missed that part, and then when I rewatched it today, I just skipped that part because I don't want to see it.
Well, yeah, you don't really get to see it, but
it was enough.
I don't even want to know. Yeah. I don't even want to know.
No, as soon as
I'll say this because we don't have to talk about it, but I just want to say he did technically die saving his owner.
That's true.
And that's just like so beautiful and sweet. I'm going to cry.
Oh.
Because it's just such a trait of dogs. And that's like, it's just so touching. It's for like a split second, but he was protecting his owner, and that's just so beautiful. And it's like, this is all delivered within like 3.5 minutes or whatever, this connection that you get to this character and his pet. And it's just like, that's such great writing.
So
that's
I
great
wonder
writing.
if he named him Gilligan because he was stranded on an island alone with him. He was the island unto himself. Because I just put it together that they named the sheep, goat, Skipper.
Yeah,
Skipper.
exactly.
So Gilligan and Skipper.
I mean, even his shirt at one point, the polo shirt, it's obviously a nod to the Buckeyes, but it looked kind of like Gilligan's, that big ass red shirt that Gilligan would wear, that long sleeve. So but I want to kind of take that further because on my second watch, okay, they did some interesting world building to kind of hyper accelerate, hopefully for most people, the connection he has with Gilligan. And that's, he wears the Doberman pajama pants. He has a Doberman mailbox. And there was one other thing too that I saw, if I remember right.
Those were the two big things, but I think the fact that Gilligan was obviously getting older.
Yeah.
And like, even though he peed in the bed, it wasn't like anger. It was like, oh, Gilligan. Like he was just like he's like, it's okay to get older.
Yeah.
Like that was just so sweet. There was such a strong connection there, and it was built so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they're watching the game together, and you could tell that was like their routine.
Dog people are going to get it a hell of a lot faster than non-dog people.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm just like,
That's fair.
you know, for me, but I'm pulling all the references, be like, oh, this is how tight their connection is. He's the only person he like allowed to get into his inner circle.
He had a picture of him on his bike.
That too. Okay. Okay. That'll
the
do
other
it for
one.
me. I mean, I could look at my notes, but I wrote too many. It's like, you know when it is when you think you don't have a lot to talk about, then you feel the need to write everything almost. Like, not everything, but like, you know, like you're taking notes for class kind of thing. You're like, okay, remember this, remember that.
And then this happened.
Right.
And then this
Wolverines / Factory Boys. Yeah, Flint, Michigan. Right, obviously. Anyway, so, no, seriously, that's my notes. Taking it a little bit further, though, second watch. I almost thought to myself, because let's put myself in the mind of maybe somebody who owns a pet who thinks they're, you know, like people. Let's assume that maybe Gilly is aware of his failings and that he loves his owner and that he has a conscious thought of what's happening around him when the walkers start to come. Joe says to Gilly, hey, stop that. You're going to draw more of them. And he keeps barking. And then not only that, defends his owner, let's say, but I almost thought, okay, not just defending his owner. He's there when he's reading the book, the book of chats. So I almost think that Gilligan knows this is the end for him, and then almost like, hey, buddy, I'm not going to go out just defending you. I'm going out so that you can find other people, because you need to find other people. It can't just be me. You need to start living. Like I'm thinking the dog knows that like he needs to end this and not draw this out because Joe needs people ASAP.
That's a really nice thought.
I know it's not.
That's like sad, but it's nice.
Yeah, that's the sacrifice that I think Gilligan makes more than anything else. And I wrote that in my notes. It's not something I just thought up now. Like, it's so sweet to think about. I actually looked up, I tried to, and I don't know if I was that successful because not a lot came up when I did look this up. But I actually looked up the expression, may your next life be blessed, which you'd think I'd be able to find more. So I took out the may your and just next life be blessed. I think it's a common like Hindu saying, like kind of like maybe one would say in yoga circles. You know, she's obviously new agey and stuff like that. So I just thought that was like a nice touch, you know, kind of reminds me of Sadiq a little bit, you know, reincarnation. I mean, Sadiq is obviously Muslim, but like Hindus.
It reminded me of World Beyond.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Asha.
That's what it reminds me of.
Placing the
Asha
flowers
and
in the eyes, yeah.
and her brother. I can't remember her brother's name.
And
for some
Dev.
reason, but
Dev.
Dev. Yeah, Asha and Dev when they were doing the flowers. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. So I thought that was a nice little touch. But again, accenting like how different these people are too.
I called her Lynn Collins in the Apocalypse.
The woo.
I liked her. I liked
the
her rainbow
crystals and
macrame net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Roll the eyes.
I loved that line though. You do a mean clove hitch. Is your father in the military? Oh no, I took a macrame class at in Big Sur. Like, can't believe it actually worked. It was like so funny.
You're really tight
I
in
loved
there.
that. Yeah, it was so great.
Speed ahead to where he goes, what is happening?
Well, I also loved that that when he's in the net, she says that thing about like all working on all weights, not your core, huh?
Yeah.
Which is like that's a really yoga thing to say. And
He's like,
was
my
just so
core is
great.
fine.
my core's fine. It's your tight ass net. It was
Clearly his core is fine.
great. It was great. I just loved it.
But I also thought like when you see the previews for that episode, like I didn't like the net look kind of shimmery in the night kind of environment. It was like, what a cool like effect using the rainbow net like in this dark of night. And it makes me wonder like how it actually looks like in the daytime. But like I thought it was like this hippie looking shimmery rainbowy net capturing this big dude who, for all intents and purposes, like to a complete stranger, looks very dangerous. But I just thought that was just kind of like, oh, he's like in this little cocoon, and we're going to rebirth him into this hippy dippy person's lap, I guess.
I mean, in a way, right? That very end, the vintage postcard very end says "Welcome back." It's in reference to like he's back in the world.
Yeah.
Again,
Which I also thought was a
Like,
nice
so that
touch.
completely makes sense.
Like, so like not only do they have like a title card, but they have like an end card. And I didn't pay attention too much in the second episode, but I was wondering if there was anything like that.
No, but it was so fitting for the first episode because they were doing all those was like that vintage postcard. You know, they were doing the traveling montage,
Right.
so like made sense.
Springfield
that they did it.
and Dayton and all that stuff. So, okay. No, and that's pretty cool. And like on the card itself too, like it had little moments from the episode, like them on the bike and Gilly, I think too, or maybe the mailbox or something like that. Yeah. So the songs that were playing in the episode, like, okay, so which I'm not going to go through, but in particular, like in the beginning, obviously he's listening to Charlie Pride's Kiss an Angel Good Morning, but it got me thinking like, this is a guy that all he likes is Doberman and football. And so what I was thinking was that because they play it at the end, like in Sandra's bunker, this is the song she's using again to kind of give you symmetry to these two people are the same, but they did one thing that made things different. She had obviously liked the song before, and she uses it to squelch the
she's
screams.
listening to a different song.
No, she's listening to the song he was listening to on the bike.
No,
Wasn't it?
she's listening to a Buddy Holly song.
Oh, in the beginning, it was the Buddy Holly song. But after, when he's eating the pot brownie, it goes back to Charlie Pride's Kiss an Angel in the Morning.
Does it? I thought it was still Dearest.
No. Well, let me just double check. Am I wrong? I don't think so.
I thought it was still Dearest because he goes, wow, you really like this song. Because it just kept playing on repeat.
Okay,
And it was really creepy.
maybe I'm wrong. I just thought it was interesting because
so unnerving.
I thought it was
to
the
me.
same song that he was playing on the bike afterwards
Well, they played it more than once because there's a time they do play it
on the road.
when they're finally getting along. Like, so they play it at the beginning of their trip and then further into their trip after
Okay.
like the montage.
Okay. I could have sworn I thought, oh well, maybe we'll go back to it again. I just thought that maybe that was a little interesting because I almost
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's layered in.
maybe the reason why I even bring it up is because it almost seems as though he likes it because she liked it. And he's like, oh, you should try listening to this song. And like, that's the reason why he likes the song, period. Because it just didn't seem like he was like a music guy. Do you know what I mean? But on the note of what you were saying before, like about how he and Evie were listening to it at first. Well, he was only listening to it and she was trying to sing along and he was annoyed. First of all, they both sounded terrible at first. Like they're both terrible singers. But if you pay close attention to the second time they're singing it, they actually sound okay as singers. They're actually singing it in tune, which is kind of like a cool narrative way of saying, oh, we're in sync, like we're in tune with one another. And this is like right before the bike gets stolen. You know, they make camp in the factory and he's drinking booze, etc. And like it finally gets stolen. But like right at that moment, he's like complimenting her and like, you know, you're so capable, blah, blah, blah. You know, why are you going back to this? Whatever. So I just thought that was kind of like a cool touch. Like, okay, they actually can sing. They needed to be in sync before they could.
Can we talk about the names that they give walkers in this?
Because
there was two different names, and I thought they were both kind of cool.
The toe tags.
I like.
Let's start with the toe tags.
Toe tags.
Toe tags, which I really liked. I thought that was really clever.
Yep. I like that.
That was a good one. And it's something I've always loved about this universe is the different names because that would be so true. Each region would have developed their own name. It makes sense.
But why do you think she calls hers Dead Eyes? Sandra, sorry.
I
Did
was
say she?
wondering. Yeah. Now, technically, she's from a different area.
Michigan.
So, you know, maybe that has something to do with it. Does it have to do with her being kind of crazy?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
Oh,
I'm quite offended by this character, this crazy redhead from Michigan. It's a little offensive.
yeah. What you may not
Just
know
saying.
about Rachel is, are you a natural redhead?
I am.
Okay. It's hard to tell with your pink hair and sometimes blonde.
know.
And yeah, but
My eyebrows are red.
yeah, and just so everybody else knows, like if who's not watching us right now,
Yes.
and they wouldn't know anyway if they were.
Very much a redhead.
So you're saying you feel attacked
A little bit.
by Sandra?
A little bit. You're making us redheads from Michigan look bad.
I know, because if this was like accurate to the world, she would have been from Wisconsin because that's where all the serial killers live.
Rachel, you were born in Michigan? Is that, you know?
Yes, I was born in Michigan. Saginaw, Michigan.
What if you find out you were born in Wisconsin or Iowa, maybe? No, whatever. Anyway.
Maybe it's because she's in Michigan and it's the Michigan Wolverines, and Wolverines are dead-eyed creatures that will eat your face off.
Ooh.
And fuck your life up.
So I wanted to ask you guys something because I don't know how I feel about. So from Flint to Mount Pleasant, because I live here, I know these things. I know how long that distance is. While they were discussing how long it was going to take, they still had
The bike.
the bike. Okay, Flint to Mount Pleasant is an hour and a half,
Right.
not 12.
Is that the distance? Is that how long they said it would take?
Yeah, he said it was going to take 12
I didn't think
hours.
they were in Michigan yet at that point.
They were in Flint. They were because the city names had flashed up on the screen. They went through Ann Arbor, and then they went to Flint flashed up, and then they were in this Flint flat. So they went through Ann Arbor, then they went through Flint, which is accurate. That was my route to and from school every day, and then they were in the abandoned factory.
If there was a bunch of abandoned cars on the road and walkers in the way, like, you know,
But-
is that just like an estimate?
We didn't really see a lot of walkers. I wanted to think the same thing, but we didn't really see a whole lot of walkers. Now, however, However,
I think Rachel's going to say what I'm going to say.
Once the bike got stolen and they were on foot, yes, I
that
could
makes
see
sense.
that taking. I could see that taking maybe 12 hours.
But I was even going to say, so I was going to say what Bridget was going to say, because they kind of established that, like, oh, you wouldn't be able to navigate out of where I live without me, because I know where all the traps are. I know where all the, where the roads are washed away, etc. But there's an additional factor, and that is, what is the bike? An electric bike. What does it use? I think solar power. And so they can only go so far before they have to charge and make camp. And
I
of
guess
course,
I didn't catch that part.
yeah.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
What shows-
That
That
does
makes
make
sense.
sense.
what shows the solar panels a lot more clearly is actually the graphic, not the actual bike. Because when you're looking at the bike, you're not paying attention to the fucking bike as much. You're looking at Terry Crews. Again, he's chewing up the screen. But the actual graphic for the episode shows the solar panels at the on the sidecar. So they can only go so far in a charge, and also they can only go so far. It has to take so much time to charge those batteries too, because solar power, especially back then in 2010, 11. Well, no, let's just say 10, because no technology was invented in 2011, but 2010, the technology was not as great as it is, marginally better now. So. So there's all that too. So of course it's going to take 12 hours. They can only go maybe 1 hour, 2 hours at a time, possibly. I know he had a lot of batteries, but again, charge time.
This is why I needed to talk it through.
Yeah, no, I
Because
get it.
I'm like,
Well, yeah, I didn't pick up on that at all. So good call, Dave.
Yeah. You're welcome. I wrote everything down. I wrote it all down.
He wrote the show. That's why he knows.
I was in the writer's room and I said, that's wrong. Rachel's going to call me out on that. Oh, let's make the bike electric so that he wouldn't call me out
There you
as
go.
much.
That's wrong. Rachel's gonna call me out.
She's from Michigan. What? I was going to talk about something. Oh, okay. So there was a little interesting foreshadowing when they get attacked in that circle, when Evie and Joe, and they, which establishes their trust, right? In the midst of that attack, they see a walker with its heart missing, right? With a chest cavity. In
That
its
was
place.
awesome.
But you see that again right before he meets Sandra. There's a walker with a pole or something, or flagpole or tent pole or some big pole stuck in his chest. Do you think that was, I know that first walker was quite far away from where she lived, because I don't know if they were in Michigan just yet. I'm not sure. Just the timeline and everything. Do
you think it was her cutting people's hearts out?
That's what I was thinking, that it was a bit of foreshadowing. She's not going to keep the walker down there too. So, she's probably going to throw the dead body over the thing outside in the whatever. And, we've known walkers to follow long distances after a while. You're like, oh shit, that walker was from that episode there in the prison. What is it doing out here in Virginia? Anyway, so I thought it was like a little bit of foreshadowing, because obviously Joe is at the final stroke. Well, Sandra is like aiming for the cleaver for the chest, and which hits the crystal. So, but Sharon looks like she has to say something.
I was just found it interesting that you said the circle and then it built their trust, because if you think about episode 2, what is the name of the company that
Circle of Trust. Let's just say that out loud.
Circle of Trust, here now and always, or whatever that was.
Which also, I'm just going to say this out loud, since now that it's open, the genie has been uncorked. One of the production companies, I forget what it is exactly, but it's called Circle of Confusion. So, so like when you see the end, Idiot Box, Circle of Confusion, Valhalla.
I was thinking that the walker with the heart missing might be a possible way for them to thread through the series. Like maybe whoever is doing this with the no heart walkers is something that's threading through the series.
I'm thinking maybe the Bruja too, specifically. Well, it could even be the Jesse T. Usher one, because that hallucination walker was gnarly. But yeah, so that's an interesting, noteworthy thing to mention.
I just, every time you say Jesse T. Usher, I get this vision of A-Train like plowing through a thing of one pile of walkers.
It was A-Train that took out the heart. He used his super speed to go boom.
Okay, so that's weird, because I saw a clip from a different episode, and there's a different hallucination with a different actor.
Oh, really?
Also, yes.
From which episode? Oh, with Poppy.
I don't know which one it is.
No. I don't know what it'd be. Oh, maybe with Poppy Lou.
It's a woman.
Yeah, Poppy Lou.
It's a woman, but no, because the promo for her is where she's
running away.
like doing, yeah, right? Yeah. So it's not that one.
Okay.
It's a different one. But anyway,
Oh, okay.
I digress.
Okay. So there are a few of us who actually have had edibles. And one of the things I was wondering was, damn, that edible worked fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
Thinking that too.
Not only did it work fast, but it was like, what was this, like some super edible? Because
That was
I have never
not-
had
It had
to loopy that
PCP
loopy.
in it too.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Like,
was
what the hell
not-
did she put in there? Because
It's definitely laced with something, sure.
I've had some edibles and they did not make me that loopy.
No,
That was
it's
not
definitely
helpful,
super powerful, right? But the thing is that like, and maybe this is again bone to pick, and it's not a big one. It doesn't really affect me as a human or bother me or take me out of the watch or any of those negative things. But that second watch, I'm like, wait a minute, that's an edible. Edibles are notoriously take a long time to take effect.
Unless we're seeing it from Joe's perspective and it kind of was fucking up his perception
Of time, which that happens
Yeah.
to. I'm terrible like with edibles,
Did he
even though
even
they're
finish it?
no,
No, he
just a
ate
few
about
That's
half
the
of
nibbles.
it.
other. Yeah, that was the
yeah.
other thing.
Well, well. I mean, I don't know. Like,
Trust me, you don't need to finish it.
Yeah, that's
That doesn't.
that was a huge brownie too, and you don't even need
Not
to get
people.
halfway.
Not everyone has to finish it.
I could tell you horror stories, man. Holy fuck.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
I would know.
I'm assuming, having never experienced this before.
Based on what I've seen on
guessing.
television,
Hold up, Bridget. Tell him the truth. No.
I can't. I don't know who watches this podcast.
Good point. Anyway,
Oh wait,
so
I'm in Michigan. It's legal.
yeah, I think the cat's out of the bag, Bridget.
I did it. I did
Okay.
it in
It's in
Michigan
my-
where it was legal.
That's right.
Okay, to be fair,
To be
this is my old life. My old life. I used to be wild. I'm no longer wild, except for at conventions when I get a little bit wild.
Yeah, you're okay.
You've seen it, people in this podcast. You've witnessed it.
You're okay. You're good. You're good. You're good. I'm actually kind of impressed that you're good.
Thank God there's not footage
Yeah.
of that.
Oh, there is, but it's I keep that in the pocket. It's not out there. It's in the pocket. I'm kidding.
Oh no, not that footage. The footage. Never
tit
mind.
sweat?
Okay. Anyway,
She ain't watching this podcast, and you know she ain't watching this podcast. But let's not put that
well,
out
there's
there.
her friends certainly aren't.
Yeah, bitches. You nosy bitch.
I have to say that line actually caught me off guard.
Oh yeah. It
Like
shocked
I
me.
was so surprised by the intensity, and it's not like because so much of Joe was Terry Crews, right? Like fun and like kind of goofy. Like it was him, kind of,
Kind of.
But that I wasn't ready for it. It actually, the first watch I was like doing something when that line came up, and it jerked me out of what I was doing.
Am I
and was
watching
like,
the same show?
Whoa.
Trev, is that you?
I was like, what's happening?
Trevor, are you Terry Crews? No, but so the question to really ask, because I can see this being a question. Did it jar you enough to kind of like make you think, oh, does it take you out of the moment, or does it take you out of the reality they're trying to establish? Because you could easily see
No,
it.
not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Like, I mean, it was jarring in the fact that it was like such an unexpected emotion, but it felt so genuine. So it shook me out of like, because I think we were in the car and I was watching it in the car on my phone, which was a horrible way to watch it. And so
Yeah.
So when that happened, I was like, I don't trying to use every possible minute of my day. I wasn't driving. I wasn't driving. Let me clarify. I was
Okay.
not driving.
That's what okay, good. Thank you.
I was in the passenger seat. I was not driving. So yeah, so I it kind of like brought me back, because sometimes I'll like kind of daze off while I'm watching something and like kind of lose focus, and that
How dare you.
that really brought me back into it. So no, it wasn't jarring in a bad way by any means.
Right. Like it wasn't like I'm trying to find the right words. Like it wasn't jarring to the point where it's like, oh, this isn't the character, or like this doesn't seem aligned
it was like-
with the character.
I was like, oh
bullshit.
wow, this is like he's
He's really intense.
Because, I mean, it was weird. She just grabbed his bag and started going through, and she's like, you want me to trust you, don't you? And it's like, I'd be mad.
I get it. I get
I'd be
it.
like, dude.
No, and
especially when she's going through something so personal.
Right.
Like, might as well have been his diary.
But she makes a really good point. Why don't you want me to go through there? What, are your friends waiting for me up the road? Like, I mean, this is the world they live in, though. You know, we have seen that happen.
which
So
Sandra says also,
I get it.
by the way.
I
It's a nice
definitely get
mirror
it.
to Sandra, too, because she says, oh, I don't believe you. You have people waiting for, like, to take my shit.
And then Evie shows up. So
That was another jarring moment in that episode, too. When she's like, you're here for my bunker or whatever. He's like, no, I want you. And she's like, I don't believe you. Like, props to that actress.
oh yeah,
She's getting a lot of
She was
fanfare, too, by the way.
Amazing.
Ooh, she
was
wears
amazing.
crazy pants well.
Yeah, total props. I forget, I don't have her name now, but it'll be in the blog or something.
Actress Kirstie Bryan.
And she's like, people are loving the actress too. Like, 'cause she's been posting a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, like pictures of Skipper. I don't know what the real name of the lamb is.
Skipper.
She goes, this is the real star of the show. She put lamb on the screen. It's cute. No, I kind of want to go back to the dead eyes though too, because I at the end of my notes I wrote dead eyes instead of buckeyes, and like if and then if you dot the I, they're no longer dead eyes. So like there's like actual I there, whatever. So that was kind of cool that they were playing with the names and everything. Whatever. I also did something really stupid because they were talking about Tom. Tom is Sandra's husband. Steven is Evie's separated husband. And I was trying to like see if there were any other Gilligan's Island references too, because I kind of want them to keep going. But like I looked up the original names, and by the way, the skipper's name is something crazy. That like, so no, there is no connection. Their real names on the show are really just bananas, and not names real people have. To be honest with you, if you look it up, I'll put that in the blog too. I don't give a shit. Aiden, you got a lot of work to do. So
They dropped 3 F-bombs in this episode. 3! That was crazy.
times they are changing, right?
I know, right? It was nuts.
But it's like,
I couldn't believe it.
But AMC's doing fucking great too. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just thinking about it now. Like AMC is not really beholden to like a lot of the same or any of the same types of restraints that public television has. So like I'm thinking to myself,
Well, yeah, they're a cable network.
yeah, like so why
Not that that's
is that even a
that's
thing?
I guess still.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love the part at the end where he's like, "Why am I so hungry?
Yeah,
What is happening?"
that was a nice little
That
levity.
was fucking dramatic.
That was fucking dramatic.
It's fucking dramatic.
It was such a great. It was such a great delivery. Those lines were incredible.
Look, why didn't
was
they
hilarious.
just kill dead Sandra and stay in the fucking bunker? They had like the platinum fucking bunker. Why did they leave? Oh, because Sandra's still down there. Well, fucking kill her and throw her ass out and stay in the bunker.
No, I don't think that was
Nope.
why.
Nope.
I don't think that was why.
You know why. You already know why, because that dude has been living down in the bunker for so long that it would be like after the journey he's been through, it's just not.
Yeah, I mean, you can still go out and live your life and travel around and like do runs and everything, but you can still have a safe place to come back at night and stay. You know, you can still go out and be adventurous, but it's nice to have a place to come back to that is safe where you can get
Very
some rest.
secure place.
I get
Yes.
that. I just think that like it would be like anti the character for him to do that at this point, because I think the whole point of him going through this journey was to actually start living and to kind of go back to sheltering in and let me just be clear. I love that you asked that question so that I could give this response because like that's the thing. Like after doing all that for a significant portion of his life, or I don't know how long really, but it just seems like it wouldn't be in line with his character to do that again. Like even if he has Evie, like, and who knows if this is really like a romantic relationship. I think so far right. It seems like a really, really good friendship, which could turn into more.
I
Who
think it's
knows?
okay if it's friendship. Yeah,
Right,
I think
right.
it's okay. It's not everything has to be
Wait,
romantic.
so what would be the shipper name though? GV? Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Hashtag GV forever. And I don't care what people think.
Ask Jeevee.
That's
Ask
GV.
Jeevee.
GV, and I'll attack you online if you say otherwise. Anyway, but
I'll attack you as a person.
as a person in the world, the actual world. We're making fun of Carol. Anyway, so in case you weren't picking up on my jive.
He said it wasn't clear.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, I mean, I just can't see them. I can't see him sheltering in place. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just can't see it. I think he needs to be a part of the big, beautiful worlds he's talking about. Like the world that allowed them to become the person that they denied themselves. Or when she was describing herself, she was describing how like, I just, I tried to be a part of the world, but it wasn't until it fell that I could be a part of the world, even though it wasn't around people. And I think that's beautiful. Like I love things like that, like in this universe where like Daryl can be like super capable after being like not really prior to the apocalypse, kind of being like a low expect, kind of like a Jimmy McGill character, like neglected, overlooked, dumb redneck kind of. That's all you
Carol,
are.
who was meek and
yeah,
and mousy.
Yeah,
and she's like queen of everything
now.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So yeah, no. So I like these little what we haven't said this in a while, but the zombie apocalypse allows you to become the person you were meant to be, and I think he was meant to be with people, and he just needed to get ready for that, however traumatic. You nosy bitch.
I did some reading on the side. Terry Crews has done several interviews since this episode and leading up to it. He's very pumped because he's a real life fan of The Walking Dead, which is awesome. So I love that. And I love that he gets to like live out kind of this dream.
Our dream.
He shared on Instagram stories. He was wearing a Night of the Living Dead t-shirt the night that this episode premiered.
Oh.
And so he talked about that, and he talked about the fact that that movie really inspired him as a person, but it's also like the reason why he loves The Walking Dead so much is that tie. And Night of the Living Dead is actually one of the reasons I really love The Walking Dead. So that was like, it's really cool. But for those of you who don't know, which I don't know how you wouldn't, but Night of the Living Dead is a movie by George Romero, and it is very notable, not only for the fact that it was just a phenomenal movie and kind of reinvented the idea of zombies and the genre, because prior to this, they were heavily related to Haitian religion and like voodoo and that kind of stuff is where that came from. So the film cast a black man in the lead role, which was for the time unheard of. And Romero went on record many years later saying, I didn't really think of it like that. He was the best actor for the position. And that's just such a beautiful thing to say, that like in a time when skin color really mattered, it didn't matter to him, because Dwayne Jones, which by the way is the name of Morgan Jones's son, it's a throwback to this actor, he was just that good that he was cast for that reason alone, on his merits alone, which is just beautiful. Now, Terry loves that his character makes it to the end, and that he's a black man who makes it to the end. And so he kind of compared that to Ben, because Ben does make it to the end, and then I don't want to say anything else, but like because like spoilers, but
I think you can. No? Okay.
But he doesn't.
That's fine.
He doesn't. He dies at the very last second. And so it's a beautifully sad ending to a beautiful and just notable horror film, when horror was thought of something that was really cheesy. And this was really beautifully done.
And thereafter too.
Yeah, that connection really spoke to me. I love Terry Crews to begin with. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I have a soft spot for him. He was on the Green Bay Packers, even though he never played a game for them. And my family is really big Packers fans. Okay. So I thought that was really nice. He was in the NFL, which is why I loved the football ties into this episode. And
I wonder if it pained him to be a Buckeyes fan. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, he was so into it. He was so into it.
One of the other things that he came out and said during this whole process where he's doing interviews is that, one, he said a couple days ago, specifically, I read it in a sci-fi.com article, that he would love to bring the character back because the episode was left open-ended. So that's exciting. And he has gone on record to say to like Scott Gimple, like, anytime, man, just call me. He was asked what he took from set, and he took the small switchblade.
Oh,
knife.
Because he
and
might
he
need
said,
it.
I didn't want to take too much because I plan on being back. So I just loved that. I just loved that. That was such a nice moment. Oh, you guys will like this. What to Watch really clickbaited me, okay?
Okay.
They posted an article that said that there was a potential fear connection to this first episode.
Okay.
Okay. Which we know that there is a potential, it's a fear nod. It's like a imaginary hat to
Yeah.
imaginary hat to fear in the second episode.
Right.
So I
Right.
thought that was really interesting that there would be one in the first episode too.
Okay.
And so I read it because I was like really excited about it. It's a stretch. It's a bit of a stretch, in my opinion. The End of the World as We Know It group on the ranch in Fear in
Teotihuacan,
season
right.
3.
Yeah.
Teotihuacan. They had maps of like where preppers were in the U.S. And so the potential was Joe or Sandra could have been in that network.
Of preppers. Yeah.
Could
yeah.
have been. Okay.
Could have
I
been.
ran across
so
that as
it's
well,
again,
yeah.
that's probably imaginary hat. I don't know that it's much more than that, but just a little nod.
I'll tell you right now, like that, it's not enough for me. That's not. I
think just
but
the preppers in general would be a better, like more of a connection. Like maybe they weren't on the map, but just that they had mentioned or talked about preppers, and now we're seeing preppers in action.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I'm okay with that loose connection.
yeah,
And I mean, if we're seeing 2 nods to Fear, and now obviously episode 3 will be a nod to Walking Dead, very clearly. There's a direct connection there.
Yeah.
which one's episode 3? Is that? Oh, that's the Lydia Alpha episode, right?
Alpha.
Or well, I mean
So,
the D episode.
You know, yes, sorry, D, not Alpha. She's
my
not Alpha yet.
bad.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what the final, if there's any other connection between those final 3 episodes and the shows that are already in the universe.
Yeah, because I'm so excited for that. And I think it's the Anthony Edwards episode. Maybe. I could be wrong. But that is the one that's like 35 years in the future.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. And I could be. But
Yes.
Holy
No,
shit.
I believe that's correct.
which, like, by the way, when we first heard about the Walking Dead World Beyond, and we didn't have like an exact time placement. We were like, oh, it's 10 years, 15 years of the future. Down to what Anthony Edwards wears on his back. It looks like the BO4 unit on the back of the walkers that he's wearing. The character's wearing, Anthony Edwards. It's the Walker diagnostic backpack, right? If you remember. I'm realizing that Rachel doesn't know that I'm looking at her. So I'm like, Rachel, do you remember? And you don't know that I'm looking right at you.
We don't know where you're looking.
Rachel, do you remember, Rachel? Like, so you're looking, I'm looking at you. Okay, anyway. So I just thought that was so cool. And like, and it reminded me of Elton a little too. And I had like, if Anthony Edwards is missing an arm, I'd be like, oh, is that Elton? And I'd be like, yay.
All right. Well, I vote to make them our imaginary hat moments.
Yeah. That to me, maybe this is just my sentimentality. That to me is like more of a nod to World Beyond, and so I'm okay with that. So fuck your Teotihuacan Prepper Network. I love Elton and World Beyond. I miss it.
Was just trying to help.
Shut up.
I was just,
With your
just trying to help.
anyway, I don't know. I'm sorry. I yeah, but I could see it. But the thing I think the only thing that bothers me about that theory is that it kind of limits the world. How we were as a people, like on the internet, like, oh, you know, there was a prepper network. Really? Have you seen the world? Like, I think there's multiple prepper forums. First of all, that don't know who they are because they're so afraid of everybody attacking their own bunkers that they like, fuck you, I'm a screen name.
Like I said,
you should be
being a
scared.
prepper sort
It
of
was
being secret, right?
clickbait.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They clickbaited the hell out of me because I was like, ooh, a connection. And then I was like, this is, come on.
Even the nod that was spoken about in the second episode I see
It's
it.
a nod.
It's a nod.
That's it.
It's a
Yeah.
nod.
And even
It's a
then,
nod.
like,
That's
you'd
it.
have to like really.
It clearly is not the actual person because the timeline doesn't work out. But
Exactly.
Oh, no.
It is obviously a clear shout out. I mean, there is no way it is not.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about there's actually a shot. There's actually a shot in the second episode, and we'll talk about it more in the second episode, where the Jillian Bell character is looking at the car, and the car is slowly driving away, and it looks back at her, and it is reminiscent of Madison
it's the
in
same,
the car.
I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
In-
The kids with the masks.
In the first episode, right? In the bus, right? Am I mistaken? in the Fear the Walking Dead episode pilot? No, or in the car. It could be in the car.
They're in a car, and the kids are in the back of the station wagon, and they turn, and they've got those creepy smiles drawn on their masks.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. That is very similar. The style, the way that they shot
Yeah,
it.
how they swept
tend to-
across.
But
Tune
save
out
that
season
sweet liquid gold for the next episode.
Exactly. So, without further ado, I think we'll call this one a night. Thank you, Bridget, for those 3 nuggets. I love it. Filled out this episode quite nicely. But if you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and an eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. Yes, 5 stars and an eggplant. We need those 5 stars. But the eggplant is not necessary, but it's kind of funny. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what we could be doing better. Tell us what we missed. But remember to tell us after every episode. It really does matter. And if you want to be involved in this podcast and how it shapes out, you could be here in the chat telling us all the things that you thought were cool, because this is your podcast. It's technically ours, but it's ours.
I want everybody who hated Tales number 2 but loved In Dreams to come and tell me why. Challenge.
Everybody feels attacked right now because I like your dreams.
The challenge.
And I like the second episode. Yes. Then what you need to do is make sure to head over to ko-fi.com, create a free account, and just follow us at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. You don't have to buy us a coffee for 30 days of supporter-backed content. You don't have to join a membership tier for as little as $1 a month. You just have to follow. It costs nothing to do so, and it keeps you in the know as to what we're doing in the background, because we don't post this stuff on social media. The reason why? It's just too much shit, okay? You don't need to know about it. This is for people who want to know when we record it, who want to know when we drop our unedited episode recordings, who want to know if we're doing anything cool behind the scenes that, you know, the folks who really want to be involved in this podcast want to know about. So make sure to do that. I've been your host, David Cameo, and I was joined by Cosmom's Aaron I, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, aka Blazy Gardner, and Bridget. ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PONKYBRUISETER. Yeah, how about that? Yeah, you like that?
You got pretty good at that.
Yeah, I know. Yes, you get into a groove, and it's like, yeah, it's like music.
Just so you know, before I made this very long username, I actually once joked with Sharon D that I was gonna make my name like so long, so you would have to say it out loud.
I remember that we recorded that. Like,
It was gonna be like, Dave, screw you, and you telling me that I needed a Ko-fi account.
And it changed everything. So take care, everybody. We'll see you actually very soon. Hopefully doing a collab on the second episode. We're going to finalize that. And that's why you need to follow us at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead, because sometimes we do cool things with other people. So take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. And I hope you're enjoying these episodes, because we're going to do it anyway. So go fuck yourselves. Good night and goodbye. And we'll see you very soon. Mwah.